like a wig. Like a goatee, so I can fit in. Can we start?
Yeah. Alrighty.
Shown.
Well, done deal. Thank you for taking out some time, Dan, to kind of hang out with us here and in the media lounge of HR Tech Europe. The first thing I'd like to do is get an introduction.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you. Kind friend from digital virtual worlds. So I am the antithesis of my last name, my friend. In Latin, pontifrac means broken bridge.
Oh.
So pon is bridge, fracture is fracture, so it's broken. So I like to think that I'm building bridges.
Ah.
So I have spent time in academia, so don't hurt me, recovering academic.
Right.
But in 2002, I made the shift into the corporate culture world. And I spent time in high tech between Business Objects and SAP, running corporate universities.
Right.
And then I switched over to a Canadian telecom called TELUS in 2008, where I was there to help with the culture evolution, revolution of a roughly $12 billion company.
What was their culture like at the moment that you got there?
At TELUS, we've sort of pretty good, but not great, I would say. TELUS came together in 2000 through deregulation and companies coming together across Canada in that time frame. So between 2000 and 2007, I think it's fair to say we were slightly rigid, but almost had to be.
Right.
But we were performing. I think what would happen though as 2008 came around is that our C-suite, our board, our executives really said, okay, if we're going to tackle our customer service opportunity and thus put customers first, maybe we should also simultaneously put our employees first.
Genius.
And so a strong push for an open, transparent, cultivated culture that really embodied the spirit of team, of empathy, of empowerment really began to manifest. And between 2008 2014, we went from low 50s of employee engagement, and we now sit at 84.
Well, when you make a change like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, some people make that change, and some people either can't or won't or don't, or for whatever reason, you know, you kind of come in and say, here's the future, we're painting the future, we're going to put customers first, we're going to put employees first, we're going to pay people on time, we're going to do all these things. And some people are with that and some people aren't. Like, why is that? Why?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, change is hard. I mean, you know that, and all the different things that you've done in your life and career. I think Churchill said it best once, to improve is to change, but to be perfect is to change often. And so for me, when I think about something like change in that quote, I think about those that rest on the laurels of status quo will be washed away, like Kodak or Aloha Airlines or even recently BlackBerry, and they're trying salvation to get away from where they are and where they should be. So if you do stand on the status quo and rest on those laurels of past ideal or even past success, you will be washed away as sand is every morning on a beach.
Can a company be addicted to change? Can you go too far and change too much or too frequently, or is there too much of a good thing?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question, and you can't change for the sake of change. I think it's somewhat diametrically opposed to a good strategy and rolling out on that strategy. But those that sit with a strategic plan that is from yesteryear, they're not really getting through to what is for tomorrow. Right. But there's a balance. So, if you're a Clay Christensen fan and you say, all right, let's disrupt everything, it's another way to say change, but don't disrupt for the sake of disrupting. Right. There's got to be common sense to sort of your plan. Otherwise, you just end up with confused employees and then confused customers, and that's not good either, right?
Is there a person that's better apt? I've always wondered this about as we assess people when they come into an organization for cultural fit and for all these types of things. Is there an assessment or a way to screen in people that are better apt to deal with change?
Well, I think it first starts with your own DNA as an organization. And so if you've defined yourselves as a risk-averse, rigid, very stoic type of organization, you're going to hire those same type of people, and then essentially you can't claim mea culpa. You claim, oh my God, that's what we've hired, and that's our DNA.
Like me, I hired a bunch of people like me.
Right, that's a groupthink, yes man, yes woman type of scenario. But if your DNA, however, is collaborative, open to change, spirited teamwork, a reasonable sense of transparency and autonomy and empowerment, and then you're seeking that out in your applications, in your job profiles, in your job descriptions, whatever.
You attract those people.
That's exactly. So here's an example of TELUS specifically. So back in 2008, we were getting about 100,000 resumes a year. Now we get over 275,000 resumes a year because we've redefined, if you will, or evolved what our TELUS leadership philosophy is, i.e. who we are, our DNA, the behavioral instincts and the behavioral tendencies and attributes of what it is to be a TELUS team member. But word is leaking out. So when we win these culture awards or best places to work or top 100 employers and so on and so forth, or ASTD best awards, like 9 of them, right? One of only 2 companies on the planet to win 9 of those. I'm not trying to tout, I'm trying to say you do these awards and accolades that come to you because you've changed your culture. Let's say. People start saying,
yes, I'd like to do that.
I'd like to work there.
I'm in a crappy job. I'd like to go work there.
From crappy to happy.
Kind of makes sense. What's keeping you up at night these days? What's top of mind for you?
There's a few things. I have 3 kids under 10, so that
bless you.
That'll keep me up. But wow, where to start? So first of all, apathy. So particularly leadership apathy. So this sense of, why we're never going to be able to be like them, or we're never going to be able to use social tools, we're never going to be able to have an open culture. That apathetic leader or leadership DNA freaks me right out. Because that is how innovation, productivity, and new world growth is going to occur.
Everyone's looking to that person.
So that's crazy.
Can you change that? Let's stick there for just a second. If there is a leader that is apathetic, and let's say it's not a slump or a moment in time, let's just say that that's the new reality and they're just apathetic. Do you have to get rid of them? Is there a retraining or a revitalization of that, or do you just have to cut bait?
I think it's case by case, and there are certain times, I think, when you're going to have to pull the cord and say, you know what, this is just not the right DNA for you, and we've seen that in CEO changes or heads of state of sorts, right? That's why in politics we vote out leaders from time to time, so it's akin to the corporate or the not-for-profit world. And then there's other times I think there is a development opportunity to see in that, and a leader changes. Now, Jack Welch, here's a great example. I'm not the biggest Jack Welch fan when he was at GE.
Yeah, me neither.
His bottom 10% and also the other shenanigans. But towards later on in his career, he started doing Breakfast with Jack. And when he left GE, that's when he came out and said, you know what? Maximizing shareholder return is the dumbest idea out there. And so now he's on a big movement to sort of eradicate the maximizing of shareholder return and value as the sole measurement of an organization, which of course we all know is the way in which that we are taking capital out of companies and not investing back into people and customer innovation.
Great for Wall Street, not great for the company.
So there's someone, however, who I didn't like during his tenure as CEO per se. But afterwards, he's somehow woken up and had some epiphany that said, hey, you know what, this whole maximizing shareholder value idea,
it was a lie.
I was wrong. So
you have to give him credit, though. I mean, you'd have to give him a lot of credit for admitting that, I touted that for a long time, believed in it, don't believe in it now. Let's talk a little bit about HR Tech Europe for a moment. Why do you come to a conference like this? Like, what's the bit? What do you learn? What do you like? What's the energy?
Well, I mean, first of all, HR Tech Europe is in Europe, and being a Canadian living in Vancouver, and I get to come out to Amsterdam, I mean, first of all, let's go for that. But more importantly, and that's somewhat cheekish, what you see in an event like this with the over 2,000 attendees and the 150 sponsors, etc., is what you don't get on Twitter, is what you don't get in the discussion forums, what you don't get on LinkedIn and so on. It's this. It's that touch, face-to-face, wow, what is happening, that networking. Now, secondly, of course, you're going to learn a ton. So me being an educator at heart, I believe that learning is equal parts formal, informal, and social. So I do lots of social with you online. I get the informal coffee chats from time to time. But this is part of that formal learning as well in these conferences. So for me, it's sort of a win-win-win.
Genius. For me, I think it touches a passion. Like I go to conferences, and you walk in and you can tell that the passion has been sucked out of the room. And this is the 4th time I've been here for HR Tech Europe, and every single time, I don't know how they top themselves, but each time you walk in and there's just passion. And you walk down there to the vendor hall, and people are standing in line, 9 deep, waiting to talk to a software vendor.
One thing I've noticed about this conference in particular is I feel it's a beacon of hope. And you know,
I get that.
there are other conferences that both you and I go
Yeah, yeah.
to, and whether that's in the HR space, the
Yep.
learning space, the leadership space, or
Yep.
just corporate America, corporate Canada, what have you. That passion, that verb, that vitality of we can change
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Maybe that's culture, maybe that's leadership, maybe that's social tools, etc.
Right.
I always find that at least here, the Europeans really have that beacon of hope for change.
Agreed.
And you know, it makes me coming back.
Yeah, I'll keep coming back for that because each year I get dipped back in this passion, and so I love it. Anyhow, I think we're a wrap. Thank you very much
All right, brother.
for your time
Good
and
chat.
your intellect, and we're out of here.